In this video, we're going to look at the following practice web test and take it up. As you can see at the top, we have an image centered of a sailboat. The caption is in Courier font and it's centered underneath the picture. Then Shamrock Sailing Adventures is an H1 and it's centered. Then we have two H2 tags. Have you dreamed of gliding along the islands of North Carolina, and list of sailing gear. Then we have a triple nested list where we have, it starts out as an unordered list, then an ordered list, then an unordered list. Next, we have a paragraph with a red, italics, bold phrase, which clearly stands out. At the right side, we have a smaller image, and the image is on the far right side. Then one small paragraph, and then a navigation bar. The navigation bar is white, and it's got three links or three items in the navigation bar. List of sailing gear is a section and goes up to the list of sailing gear, that section. The email the skipper opens mail to email compose window to email something to the skipper, and the Arizona Sailing Adventures is an external link. There's a starter package available called Practice Web Test Starter.zip. So if you click on that, it will download to the downloads directory, and you can place it on the D drive and then unzip it. On the left, we have the zip file in the downloads directory, and we're just going to slide it over into the root of the D drive. So there it is. Next step is to unzip it. Just say extract all, and it will unzip and open a window. Close these other windows, and this is what you're given as part of the test. The first PDF is just a cheat sheet of items that may be helpful. Next, we have the text that's in the document to save you from having to type in the text. Then we have the test paper or rubric in PDF and doc format. And this is the document right here. Just make that a little bit bigger. And this document shows where the 25 marks are allocated. So we will check off each item once we've done it over in the second column. All right, the first thing to do is to open this index.html in Notepad++. And we'll divide the screen in half. And you can see that there is no HTML in here. Essentially, it's just really the text. So I think the best thing to do is just to comment this all out using HTML comments. And we'll put the closing comment at the very bottom. And then we can just cut and paste the text in as we need it. The next step is just to put the usual HTML5 headers and the heading section and the body section in place. I'll put my authorship in first, and then the Medicare set, which the validator seems to like. Make sure you get that spelled correctly, UTF-8 -8. And the web rubric sheet says specifically to put the title as Practice Web Test. I just opened the rubric here in Word, and one neat idea is once you've done the item, you can highlight the item, or if you have this on paper, you can just check it off and change the background color to yellow as soon as you've done the item. It just sort of helps you a little bit, show you exactly where you are. So I've done this as well. And I've set this title to Web Test. Next, I'm going to concentrate on putting the top image in place. So I'm going to divide half my screen up. One other thing too here in the Notepad++, it's a very good idea to have the word wrap checked. So for the, I'm going to have a container for that top image figure. I'm just going to take a minute and see what the images are called. One's called boat.jpg and the other one's called sailing.jpg. Now at this point I've inserted the image tag, and the alt is always compulsory with the image tag, and also you always want to have the image tag in some sort of a figure or a div or some container. So now I've run what I've got so far, and as you can see the picture looks okay, although the sheet says to have it 600 by 200. So I'm going to put the style or the width and the height into a rule in the style section next. So I've just added my image rule with two properties, width and height. And also because there's additional images in the document, I want to use the descendant selector and put in figure first. And remember to pronounce these backwards, the image of the figure. And that's the one that's going to have this specific length and width. Also too, we're going to want this centered. So I can say text align center. And if I just save that up, this is what we've got so far. So, and if we have a look at that, it's not quite centered, and that's because I don't want to do the centering as far as the image goes. I want to do it with respect to the figure. So I'm going to add a figure rule here, and I'm going to move the text align out of here and put it up there, and then press the fourth button over, which saves all files, and have a look and see what I have. And that looks centered, especially if you enlarge the screen. Next, I'm going to put the caption underneath, and it's going to have to be in Courier font, and for that I'm going to need the fig caption. Okay, so the figure, it's got to read figure 1 sailboat, and it's got to be in Courier font. So I put in the fig caption. It's really important. The validator will not like it if the fig caption is outside of the figure container. So the figure container has to contain the image and the fig caption. I've also got the rules in order to get the fig caption to be in Courier. And sans serif is a font that you typically use on computers that don't have that might not have the Courier font. And you need a hyphen there with the sans serif. If we kind of save what we've got so far and have a look at it, things are looking pretty good. So that is the Courier font, and in case it wasn't centered, I would have been able to text align center it as well. So let's go back to the Word document, and we've now done this one right here. So I'll just get that out of the way. We have done this. We have put ourselves as the author, and the letters within the document need to be a font Arial, and except for the Courier font in the fig caption. So let's just go back and we'll add a body, and we'll put the font family Arial and sans serif. We should probably have about 5 fonts here, but for brevity I'll just use 2. And if we have a look at that, we don't have any text yet in the document, but I can go down and get some. So we can begin by taking this. Now what I'm going to do is Control X to take it out, the text, once I've begun using it. So the heading is going to be an H1. And the next two, if we take a look at our document, which is right below here, these two are going to be H2s. So have you dreamed and list of camping gear. So if we go back here and go down, take these two, I'll cut them out and I'll paste them in right here. And this is an H2, and close the H2. And close the H2. Okay, next I'll update this. Number 4 has been done. And I've done this one as well. So the background color next is A1B1CE, and the text in the document is 20 point and it's white. So I'll do those next. So in the body, I can put the font size 20 point, and the font color, be sure you use color and not font color, white. So let's have a look at what I've got so far. Also, it's a really good idea to just put in 3 or 4 or 5 lines and always check it out, just to make sure nothing has gone wrong. Because if you do that, check it out all the time, every 3 to 5 lines. If there's a problem, you know it was in the last 3 to 5 lines. And there is a problem. So my stuff isn't showing, so I got to figure out what that is. And upon closer examination, I've got a white background and I've got white text. So actually everything is working. So I'll put the background color in next. And that was A1B1CE. And put a £sign first and save it, and we should see much improved. So there we have it. That's what I've got so far, the H1 and 2 H2s, and I'm ready to continue on and see where we are in the list. So this is now done, and so is this one, and so is this one, and so are these two. So next I have to make a triple nested list, and so that's the next step. Okay, now it's time to build the triply nested list. So if we take a look at the triply nested list, we have an unordered list on the outside, then an ordered list, and then another unordered list. So it's supposed to look like this. I will not put the ordered list and the unordered list in right away, but let me copy the text in place. And let me just move these guys back to the comment area, and let me just get the first nested list working. So in order to do that, I'm going to put in my unordered list tag, and I'm going to use the copy command because it'll be a lot faster to put these LIs in. So as you can see, goggles is the next LI, and if we just put these in like this, it's pretty fast. To close it, you're going to have the slash there, and I'll just take a copy of that as well, and I'll close these. Okay, and I think I have everything right there. Let's save it, and let's just have a look and see if the first tier looks good, and it does. So next we'll put this ordered list in for personal belongings for storage. So I'll copy for personal belongings, and that has to go right under the soft duffel bag. So it goes in here. And for storage is the second of the ordered list, and that goes in under here. So let's just tab these over. Now, for a nested list, you have to take out this LI and put it right here so that these two match. And then I need to build my ordered list. And close the ordered list and put in my LIs. Close my LIs. All right, I think I have it, so let's have a look. So we run that in Chrome, and it looks pretty good. So now under personal items right here, I have to add, as you can see, the toothbrush and the razor. So I'll go to the comments section, get those, the toothbrush and the razor, stick it in right here. And again, I have to move this LI, this is the trick with nested lists, down here, and then put my unordered list and my LIs. Okay, and if I've got everything right there, we'll have a look and see what it looks like. It looks okay, but you can't be sure sometimes because of the various tags. So the best thing is to go to the validator, HTML validator, and have a look and see if the validator validates your code. So we'll do Control A and then Control C, and then just put everything in there. And the green bar is a great indication that we got it. Everything seems to be right. As I mentioned before, the common error is to leave this LI in, like this guy. And not have it here. So that's what people do when they do this wrong. And watch what the validator says about that. So Control A, Control C, Control V. This is the error that you get. It's a little cryptic, but element OL, ordered list, not allowed as a child of UL. So that's a tip off that you've got a problem. So I've just put things back and run the validator again, and I get the green bar, so everything's fine. I'll leave the validator window there because I'm going to be needing it again. I'll just clear the box, and I'll leave that as one of my tabs. Okay, and close these unnecessary tabs. It's only this one. So back at my list, I can cross this guy off right now, and I'm to make a section of the list of sailing gear called sailing list. So I can do that quickly. Here's where it begins. So I'll go in here and make a section. ID equals sailing list. Now the IDs can't have any spaces, and really a good meaningful name is ideal. At the bottom of the section, close it, and it's a great idea to give a little indent to each section. So we'll just highlight the items there and press the tab, which will indent the section. So now I can cross this off. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to put in the first paragraph, and then I'm going to put in the boat image. So things are going to look like this. The first paragraph starts with "come sail," and it ends with "each cruise," and it's got a picture on the side. So let's do that next. If we go down here, here's the paragraph. There's "come sail," there's "each cruise," so this is the whole paragraph. I'm going to cut that out, Control X, and I'm going to put that in right here. And because it's a paragraph, it's got to be in a paragraph container. So I'll put the paragraph container in. And the next thing to do is the picture. Now, with respect to the picture, you have another picture, an image. So we don't want to have two figures. We want to have this in another container, and I'm going to choose div for it. So I'm going to put it before the paragraph. Okay, so I've put a div in right before the paragraph, and I've added the picture, the image tag. And as you can see, the image tag, the image appears here, and then the paragraph below that. So what I want to do is I want to float the image to right. So I've added in this rule here. The div is going to be floated right, and that's why the image goes into this position right here. Now, it was important to put the image div before the paragraph, which I did, because if you put it after the paragraph, it won't appear like this. It'll affect the next paragraph. So the next thing we see is that Allied XL42 sailing yacht is red, it's bold, and it's in italics. So to accomplish that, I'm going to go to the document and find it, which it's right here. And for the bold, I'm going to go strong, sailing yacht. And for the italics, I'm going to go EM. But notice that when I close the EM, I close it like this. Okay, so it's really important to open, close, open, close. Okay, this would be wrong to do this, and the validator would have a real problem if you did that. So don't do that. Instead, do it like this. Now, for the red color, I'm going to make a rule for strong. And I'll go up to the top here and just say strong. And the font color will be red. So let's run that and see what we get. Yeah, it looks great. So the next step is to update our chart here. And we've done this item. And then we've got the navigation bar to deal with. However, we've done this item as well. And so the next step will be to put in the last paragraph. As you can see, there's a paragraph underneath this one right here. And then we have to build this navigation bar. So let's do that next. So that paragraph is right here. There's nothing fancy about the paragraph, so I'll cut it out of my text here and put it in. Right here, and all I need to do is put a P and a closed P. So my navigation bar is next. So for my navigation bar, I'm going to use nav, and I'll go down and get the text. This is the text. And let's just have a look and see what that looks like. Well, it doesn't really look, it looks crowded, and it's very hard to figure it out as a nav. So one of the things that is very handy to do with the nav and with any element is to draw a fence or a frame around it, which you'll take out later. So I like this border, and I'm going to say 5px solid red. These, of course, can be in any order. And once I run that, it's going to show me where the nav is, like where its boundaries are. And as you can see at the bottom there, that's the nav. So also, within the nav, I'm going to have hyperlinks. So let's put some hyperlinks in place here. Now I'm just going to use the pound sign, which is a URL to the current page, and if you clicked on it, you wouldn't get a 404 error. And I'll fix up with the right URL or with the right anchor tag shortly. But let me just get something working here. So if I take a look here, I'm expecting to see anchors now. And clearly I do when they're underlined, but they're still crowded. So another thing I like to do, just to make it so clear what's going on, is I'll make a rule for the anchors. And again, I'm just going to put up a fence around each of the anchors so you can sort of see it. I'll go 3 here and I'll say orange. And this will allow you to see the anchors. Now, there'll be several anchors generally in a document, so I want the anchors only associated with the nav. So this is a great time to do this, which would mean anchors of the nav, so a descendant selector. So let's have a look and see what I get. Now you can sort of see the orange around each of the anchors. But I want to make the point now between margin and padding. So if we take a look at the nav itself, the red border, if we want space between the orange border and the red border, that's with respect to the nav, that's padding. So if we were to put in something like padding 15 pixels, once you put in padding like this, that's the same as these 4 lines. Padding right, 15 pixels. You know, if I were to do this, padding right, padding left, padding top, padding bottom. These 4 lines are equivalent to this single line. So I'm just going to go with the single line. And if we take a look at what I have here, there you can see there's space between the red, and which is the nav, and the anchor, which is surrounded by the orange. So that looks like enough space. So the next thing is I'd really like to have space between each of these orange boxes down here. So that outside of the frame of the anchor would be margin. So if I say margin right and 50 pixels, things are going to look a lot nicer here. So there's my 50 pixels right in here. So the difference between padding and margin has to do with whether you're inside the box or outside the box. Now at this point, I need to have a background color of white for the nav. So background color, I'll make that white. And I need the anchors themselves to be colored hot pink. So there's 2 things there I've just done. If I save that, there's my nav, and I can take out my fences or my frames just by taking these out, and the nav is looking quite good. Now if you click on any of the nav items, well, there's the first one, nothing happens because you're just going to the current document all the time. So it's important now to go to the nav and put in the right stuff. So list of sailing gear, you remember that was a section. So here's the section right here. It's called sailing list. So if we go here and put sailing list, we've completed that hyperlink. Email the skipper. I was the skipper. So if we go mail to, and then the email address, we're done with that one. And the last one was a actual a URL called Arizona Sailing Adventures. So to get the URL for that, it was right in the document here. So I'll just take it out of here, go back here, and replace it with the pound sign. Now it's time to test everything to see if everything works. And upon doing that, I'll just call up the document. And we'll check the sailing list of sailing gear. It doesn't really change too much. If I were to make this a bit bigger, sorry, like this. By the way, to get that zoom effect, I'm holding the control down and the scroll wheel on the mouse. So if I click on sailing gear now, it'll go right. Sailing gear will go right to the top of the page. Email the skipper. That will open your email client to a browse window, and I'm able to email the skipper right away. And Sailing Adventures will go to the external website. Okay, so we read over number 13 and 14 and realize that we've done everything. And so I'm done that. I can cross that off my list. And next, I'm going to fix up the indenting. So I might as well use this URL that they give, or in Google, you can say dirty markup. There's several code beautifier websites that you can use. So we'll open this up, and we'll go to dirty markup. And Control A, Control X gets rid of the whole thing. You got to be careful here. And then you go Control V to put it into the dirty markup and have this on HTML and hit clean. Then you go Control A, Control X to put it back, and we'll save it. And the next thing we'll do is we had the HTML validator there as well. Control A, Control C to copy it. And we're hoping to get a green bar, and we do, no errors. And the last thing to do is the validator for CSS. So you can type CSS validator, or it was given on the test paper, and it works kind of the same way as the HTML one does. So I'll just pick this third tab, direct input, Control A, Control C, copy it in there, and press check, and a green bar, no errors. And that concludes taking up of the practice midterm. So I hope that helps, and good luck on your actual web test.